Welcome back to WB Mason Presents the Joe Girardi Show. It was a very special Saturday at the stadium. Fans very excited about honoring Paul O'Neill, known as the Warrior, and a good crowd on hand. But what do you remember most about playing with Paul O'Neill?
The intensity that he brought every day and the expectation that he had of himself every day. It was just great to be around. And that edge that he brought it into the clubhouse, it brought it onto the field, and you knew that you were in a game every day that Paul O'Neill was there. And he was one of Mr. Steinbrenner's favorite, and I'm sure Mr. Steinbrenner was looking down proudly upon him.
Feel like you really enjoyed the day?
Oh, I did. I think he loved it. He had his whole family here. He had his mother here, his wife and 3 kids, and a lot of his brothers came, and he talked about how his brothers used to pick on him and beat on him, and I think that's what made him the competitor he is.
It seems as though it helped out because he was an extraordinary competitor for the Yankees, 9 seasons,
yes.
4 World Series. But you weren't the only one that had the opportunity to talk about Paul O'Neill. Some of his other teammates, as well as his manager, Joe Torre, was on hand Saturday and talked about Paul O'Neill. Joe, what comes to mind when you think of Paul O'Neill as a player?
Oh, just hardcore. Just a warrior. I mean, George Steinbrenner named him right. He called him the Warrior because he just never stopped trying, and he was always there for us.
What did you like about managing him? Was it difficult at times? Because I know he would kind of wear his heart on his sleeve at times.
Well, you know, the toughest part about it was trying to get him to stop being so hard on himself. You know, he beat himself up. The one thing about it, he got mad a lot. He broke some stuff, but it was never aimed at anybody but himself. He was just very, very hard on himself. But I'll tell you, in the clutch, he was a miracle worker. And that game 1 in 2000 of the World Series, he worked a walk in the 9th inning. And if you talk to him now, he says, I don't know how I did it. I couldn't see the ball. He just kept fouling balls off. And that really turned the series for me.
Was there a part of you that enjoyed watching him have some of those outbursts and seeing the intensity that he played with?
Well, I'd always have to interject every once in a while. I said, Paulie, if you hurt yourself, I'll kill you. Because, you know, I didn't mind him doing those things as long as he didn't put himself in harm's way. And because you never know what's going to happen when you break a bat and stuff. But, you know, you got to let it out. It's a passionate game. And I don't think there's anybody more passionate than Paul O'Neill.
What do you remember about being his teammate?
Wow, just how competitive and how fiery he was every day. It wasn't like you know, a show in the dugout by breaking a water cooler. It was every single day. He came to the ballpark. He wanted to perform at the highest level. And was never satisfied till the season was over. He gave it all he had every day.
Somebody that has that amount of intensity and he's so visible, the way he kind of displays it, does that fire up the rest of the team, or do you think that fired up those teams?
Well, I think it just shows that he cares. You know, in a game in June or May or June against the last place team, and you know, we're down by 3 runs. You know, those games are important, and you know, when guys get mad like that in the dugout and expect more. It does kind of wake you up and realize, hey, these games are important. It's early in the season, but you know, you win championships early and late in the season as well.
And Joe, it wasn't just on the field with Paul O'Neill. You two actually spent some time together in the broadcast booth for the S Network. What was that like?
Well, it was great to be around him. I mean, we got to do some games together, and he just seems to be a natural, and things just kind of roll out easy for him. He's relaxed up there, a little bit different than he was on the field, but I always enjoyed our broadcasting days together, and I'll never forget that when the Pigeon was sitting in next to him in Chicago. We were at the White Sox ballpark, and he was sitting on a wire right next to him, and he kept talking about it, so we had a lot of fun up there.
I was going to ask you, because he was so intense while he played, he's really laid back in that broadcast booth. Is that almost head-scratching for you?
Well, he's laid back in most parts of his life, except when he's competing. And as a broadcaster, you don't necessarily feel that you're competing. You're kind of telling a story. But that's his personality most of the time.
Well, we enjoy having him on the Yes Network, and congratulations again to Paul O'Neill, who was honored as 29th guy to have his plaque put in Monument Park. So congratulations, Paul.